Welcome to Aging on the Suncoast. I'm your host, Jason Martino. Getting older isn't always easy. However, when we invest the time to evaluate our personal health and well-being, there's always something we can do to improve our quality of life. The National Council on Aging reports that 1 in 4 seniors 65 years or older suffer from at least one fall per year. Falls are the leading cause of fatal and non-fatal injuries for older Americans. The Administration for Community Living further states that every 14 seconds, an older adult is seen in an emergency room for fall-related injury. Additionally, the National Council on Aging states about 80% of older adults have at least one chronic disease, and 68% have at least two. Chronic diseases place a significant burden on individuals as well as healthcare systems. Are there ways we can prevent falls or manage chronic diseases and lead healthy and active lifestyles? On today's show, we've invited Cindy Durkee and Clark Perry from CARES Incorporated. Both of these health and wellness instructors will help us understand how to actively engage in a better quality of life through participation in evidence-based programs. Cindy, welcome to Aging on the Suncoast.
Thank you, Jason.
We're so happy to have you here today. And Clark, you're no stranger to the show. You've been on here, I think, last year, and we were talking about a very similar topic. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yeah. So let's set a foundation a little bit. You guys work for an outstanding organization in Pasco County called CARES Incorporated. And so can we talk a little bit about who CARES is?
Sure. CARES is Community Aging and Retirement Services. We're based in Hudson. We're good partners with the area agency. We've worked with you for many years. CARES began in 1970, early in the 70s anyway. I can always remember that's 45 years because I just celebrated my 45th high school reunion, which was 1972.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. And CARES has been around that long, and it is a venerable institution that's been there serving the health needs and activity needs and social needs of seniors in Pasco County particularly, but also in recent years here in Pinellas County because we help with these evidence-based programs we'll be talking about in a little bit.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Pasco County is long, east and west. Do you serve the entire county of Pasco or just in the Hudson area?
Indeed. Cindy?
We serve the entire
county, from east to west, all the way up to Lacucci and all the way over to Port Richey, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, you got a big catchment area too. And
Yes.
Clark kind of alluded to the fact that you all serve Pinellas County as well.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We do a lot of evidence-based classes in Pinellas County as well as in Pasco.
So I know, because I've known CARES for some time, that you don't always just do evidence-based classes. You have a plethora of different things that you guys provide within this community. You guys care to elaborate on what you do?
Well, we teach Tai Chi classes as well as active living classes and healthy eating every day.
And I know you have senior centers as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
We have senior centers in Hudson, in Elfers, Dade City. There's a little group in Land O'Lakes as well.
Yeah. And senior centers has always been a good way to promote recreation, at least within the community.
And some support services like telephone reassurance and some meals, a couple outreach centers for senior meals, and some cafes, a cafe at Hudson and a cafe at Elfers. So a place for seniors to gather and have some social time together.
They also have home health care services as well.
You do, that's right, you do. And I've eaten at that cafe. It's pretty good food over there.
Yes,
I think you have some homemade jams and I think some apple butter, which I haven't had in a long time. Yeah, CARES, from my understanding, does a whole lot of different things out there to promote independence within the senior community within Pasco. And then, like you said, CARES has also reached out a little bit, and they're serving folks in Pinellas County. Let's talk about evidence-based health and wellness services. What are those? What does that mean to us and to the people that are watching today?
Well, the evidence-based workshops that we do were designed by Stanford University, and after many years of research and development, it's evidence-based that people that take these workshops have a better quality of life and a hope to make changes in their life, good
Right.
changes.
And I heard you say that they're developed by a university, so that means
Yes.
that they've gone through empirical design?
Yes.
Yeah, and then they get translated. That has to get translated in the community because not everybody understands empirical design and some of the research, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so hearing you earlier say that you serve folks 60 and older in Pasco County and that you're serving them in Pinellas County as well, I assume that we're talking about the evidence-based wellness programs? Yeah?
Yes.
How can you accomplish that when your headquarters is way up in Pasco County?
Well, we have a scheduler that makes contact with the activities directors in different facilities, and they set up a schedule for us.
Yeah, so it sounds like you have partners.
Yes.
Right. What kind of partners do you have in Pinellas County?
Florida Hospital, Aging Well Center, Area Agency on Aging.
I think it's important to highlight partners because, from my understanding about evidence-based programs and how they provide in the community, that you need those partners in order to have maybe a possible venue to provide those services. Sometimes I think that they provide other little amenities like water, snacks, and you have the same types of partners in Pasco County?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, you care to elaborate a little bit?
Well, it's always helpful when we do our workshops at the Hudson, because we have our cafe and all those nice facilities right there.
Yeah.
But we also do at community centers like in Land of Lakes, those places.
Yeah. Sounds like some pretty ideal places to provide them, especially where people congregate that are 60 and older, right?
Libraries. And
Many times senior residences, a little like St. Giles 1 and 2 down here in Pinellas County.
Oh, that's right.
The Aging Well Center is a wonderful place because they have the resources to do a lot of scheduling, so we know who's going to be there and know that our classes will be fully subscribed, and it's really helpful to
Yeah.
have that.
So I know that the relationship that the Area Agency on Aging has with CARES is that we give you guys some funding to provide these services, and that funding comes under the Older Americans Act. And so understanding that, I know that there's no fee for service. That's true still for the evidence-based programs, right?
classes are free.
Isn't that a wonderful thing to have? Yeah, but they always have an opportunity to contribute if they want to kind of defray the cost to provide that service out there, right?
Indeed, we remind folks that the course is free, and then somebody will say, well, nothing's free, and we'll remind them, indeed, you've paid for this with your tax dollars, so good for you to come out and take advantage of what you've already supported through your tax dollars and
That's
donations.
Right.
United Way is another big supporter of us up in Pasco County.
That's important to note. Another partner.
Another partner.
Right? And we sometimes could not accomplish the things that we would like to do in the community without having good partners like that. So we talked about the services being free, the evidence-based wellness programs. And let's talk about eligibility. Am I eligible for the free evidence-based program, or what's the standards for that?
May I ask you how old you are, Jason?
I am 45.
I'm sorry, you're not eligible.
Okay,
You need to be 60 years old.
I mean, 60
to
and
take
older?
the evidence-based classes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, good deal. Thank you very much. And so a lot of times I like to help our viewers understand the expectations of these classes, and I don't think that we have time to go through them individually until about the second half of the show today. But what's a general, broad-based view of expectations one should think about when they're entertaining taking one of the caveated classes that you have?
Making a commitment, a time commitment, and being open to ideas that you're going to hear.
Yeah. Maybe even new friendships too, huh?
New friends, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of times we do our best learning when we have a compadre in there that we can learn together from, huh?
Our self-management courses typically last 6 weeks, and it gives a person a chance to come, hear some content about chronic disease self-management, or whatever the self-management issue is, and we'll talk about those in the second half. But it gives them a chance in 6 weeks to go try things. Indeed, the curriculum suggests it. When you hear something that might work for you, even if you're skeptical, try it for a week or two. And it gives people a chance over the course of 6 weeks to find out what's going to work for pain management or disease management or diabetes management.
Yeah, and I heard Cindy loud and clear talk about commitments, and I think anytime that we go and we venture into something that might be new, we have to understand what kind of commitment we have. And I think during the second half of the show, when we go through some of these evidence-based classes individually, we'll have more of an opportunity for the viewers to understand what types of commitments are they really are they going to be committing to, you know? Anything else you guys like to add?
I would like to add that CARES is such a wonderful community of people that I have a gentleman. He started out taking some computer classes at the Hudson Center, and then he had lost his wife, so he was lonely, and I encouraged him to go to another event at the Hudson facility. And one day we were walking out of the building together, and he said to me, "CARES is my life." And I thought, what a nice testament to what CARES does for seniors.
It is, and I also think it's based upon the interactions that he had with the people there.
Yes.
Maybe if he didn't have anyone to approach him like you did, then maybe he wouldn't have that that mechanism to understand different things that were going on within the CARES they can do. They do a whole mess of different things. I mean, they've been doing it pretty well for a very long time. We're very proud to have that relationship with the Area Agency on Aging on that. So evidence-based programs in general, anything you guys would like to add before we take a break and get ready to go into the next segment? No?
Nope.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Yeah. So we're very glad to have you on the show. We're going to take a considerable amount of time during the second half of the show, and we're going to talk a little bit more about all the individual aspects of all those different cool programs that you guys offer. So please stay with us while we take a short break. As usual, don't forget to have a pen or pencil ready. During the break and at the end of our show, we'll be running contact information for the Area Agency on Aging Helpline and for CARES Incorporated.
Many of us don't want to believe that elder abuse, neglect, or exploitation can happen to a family member, a friend, or even ourselves. Elder abuse is a growing problem and is severely underreported. Many victims are reluctant to report due to fear, embarrassment, shame, or guilt. In order to prevent elder abuse, we must take action. Don't be afraid to talk about the issue and report it to the Florida Abuse Hotline at 1-800-962-2873. Together, we can make a difference.
Welcome back to Aging on the Suncoast. During the first half of the show, Cindy Durkee and Clark Perry helped us understand who CARES Incorporated is and what their agency does within our community. So let's continue and explore health and wellness with a close look at specific resources that can positively affect your health and well-being. Cindy, welcome back to the second half of the show. And Clark, obviously to you, welcome back to the second half. Just to recap a little bit, we talked about the wonderful organization that you all work for. We talked about a litany of different services that you all provide within the community, and we concentrated a little bit on the health and wellness programs, the evidence-based programs. So we're going to spend the entire second half really talking, excuse me, individually about the evidence-based programs. But before we really start to roll into them, what is health and wellness in older adults? Cindy, can you help us with that?
Health and wellness, to me, is really a measurement of people's quality of life. If they're able to get out and do things, if they're able to learning how to avoid falls, learning how to manage their chronic diseases. And sometimes they have to make changes to make their health and wellness stronger and better.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's exercise, sometimes it's attitude. And there's a whole array of things that can be done to help people with their health and wellness management.
That's a pretty good definition, and I think health and wellness means a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Yes.
And what I took from that is outside of the individual aspects, he said that it has a psychological promotion for it. It also has a physical and a behavioral promotion to it too.
Yes.
So you're really looking at a trifecta of aspects that you could do, evaluate before you start to produce better results for your health and wellness. I know that the way that CARES breaks up some of their health and wellness services is that they have three major sections that they look at. They have fall prevention, they have the management of chronic diseases, and then they have the healthy lifestyles, the active lifestyle piece. Let's talk a little bit more about the fall prevention classes that you offer. Why is fall prevention so important, Clark?
Well, it's incredibly important, and Jason, you mentioned some of the statistics to start out the program today.
Yeah.
1 in 4 of us as seniors are going to fall. So the people that are watching today, I'll let you off the hook. I'm one. I fell off my bicycle not long ago and cracked a rib, spent some time in the ER, wasn't hospitalized, but part of the $31 billion industry of falling. So I became part of that, to be with $31 billion.
Yeah.
And I was on the Council of Aging site this morning, and their statistic now is once every 11 seconds a senior falls down off of the 14. And sadly, every 20 minutes a person loses their life from a fall. So it's pretty serious. The statistics say that if we can stay on our feet, stay in balance, not fall down, we are going to lead a healthier life.
Yeah, so let's talk about two classes that hopefully can allow people to stay on their feet and not hit the floor in some sort of way and be a part of that negative statistic that you just spouted. And thanks for correcting me about that 14 seconds. I wish it was more positive, but it doesn't sound like it is, huh? All right, so one of the classes that you all cover is the Matter of Balance class, and it's one of my favorites because I've seen a lot of people go through it, and I've seen some of the successes from that. Let's elaborate a little bit more on what the Matter of Balance class is.
Matter of Balance in many ways is our centerpiece course. It goes for 8 weeks, so a real good chance for people to get in the habit of coming out, socializing, being physically active. There's an exercise component. A lot of the emotional things are taught. The day that we introduce ourselves on the opening day and we go around the room and what are your concerns about falling, it doesn't take long before somebody brings up fear. And the fear of falling is really prevalent, and we address that right away.
I didn't even think about that, but that's a large psychological aspect of it that hopefully we can correct during that 8-week period. And we said 8-week period, and Cindy, you brought up commitments a little bit earlier and what people should expect. 8 weeks is 8 weeks.
It is.
Right?
It's a long time.
Yeah, yeah. So what are the benefits from the Matter of Balance class, Clark?
Some of the benefits include the exercise. They're very simple exercises. We have people tell us all the time, oh, that's the exercise I was given when I broke my hip, or oh, I had some shoulder pain, and the physical therapist, that's the exercise he gave me. So the 20 minutes of exercise we do each of the sessions for those 8 weeks are exercises people are familiar with, but we get them in the habit of doing them daily if they're so inclined. And we just see some real benefits in that. We see better mobility by the end of the class, and people willing to talk about how they get over the fear of falling, how do they stay engaged socially and with their friends and their family and their peers.
Neat benefits that really come from that. So you have an additional class that you offer in your fall prevention allotment of classes, I guess, for lack of better words, and that's your Tai Chi class. How does tell us a little bit about that Tai Chi class?
Tai Chi is even a bigger commitment. It's twice a week for 12 weeks, and they learn only 8 forms. So the first couple of sessions, people are like in a panic. They think they won't be able to learn the 8 forms, and I say, calm down. We have 12 weeks to learn the 8 forms, and they are slow, easy movements, and people love the Tai Chi class, and it's really a strengthening class because we teach to move slow, to stay focused, and part of the reason that people fall down is they aren't paying attention. The phone rings and they turn around, or the doorbell rings and they jump to run and they trip over something. So the Tai Chi class slows people down and makes them more aware of their surroundings, and the exercise in itself makes people stronger and more flexible.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. And I think we live in the 21st century now, and we have a lot of different things out there that distract us from paying attention to the normal stuff that you would suppose that we would be paying attention to. So that's a good point that you made there.
I just want to mention about the Matter Balance class. After we start hearing all these people say, oh, I did that in rehab, we like to call these exercises prehab, so that they're getting them, maybe they won't need that rehab because they won't fall down.
What a proactive way to look at that, yes.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone really desires to go to rehab, so having your prehab course definitely would work out better for them in the long run. So Tai Chi is, I heard you mention that it's a series of movements. They learn 8, I think I heard you say. And how is the series of movements different than exercising?
They're slow. If you could think of a circular motion, everything is a flow. You just flow from one Tai Chi movement into the next. So there's no like doing squats or doing sit-ups or any like repetitious exercise. It's a flow, and it goes from one into the next.
Yeah, so Matter of Balance and Tai Chi are 2 evidence-based classes that will help that participant, as long as they commit to the full time of the class, that's what we hope for, with their balance, and hopefully to mitigate any type of fall for them and keep them out of that rehab and also the hospital. What a great thing to do. Any success stories out there out of any of those classes that you've seen in your tenure of teaching?
The Tai Chi is awesome. For 12 weeks, folks are just gently doing these motions, and as Cindy said, they're very slow and even paced, but they don't realize they're getting a little bit of a bend in their legs each movement. And before they know it, it's the most striking pre and post test we see. At the first session, after warming them up, we see how many times they can stand and sit in 30 seconds. And typically, folks stand and sit 6, 7, maybe 8 times in 30 seconds. By the end of 12 weeks, they're upwards of 18, 19, 20 times. So they've strengthened their legs. A key component to balance is if you can keep your legs strong, you're going to keep off of the floor and not fall down.
Yeah, and those are changes that they may not notice overtly, but maybe by the end of the class, the 8 weeks or the 12 weeks, I think you said, they'll notice those little changes that occurred with maybe their muscle structure or this and that to keep them.
The other thing that's really striking is every session will start by saying, "Did anybody fall down this week?" And invariably we'll have somebody say, "I didn't fall down, but I was in the supermarket parking lot and I started to trip over one of those cement parking blocks." And it was just like Repulse the Monkey, one of the movements that we do.
Yeah.
And I caught myself and I didn't fall down. So we get a fair number of just conversational feedbacks that because of the Tai Chi, I don't fall down.
A testament to the learning level. So let's talk a little bit about the chronic disease self-management programs. You offer 3 of them, that's my understanding, and the first one that you offer is the diabetes self-management program. Do you care to offer a description of what that is?
Well, the diabetes workshop is designed to help people learn how to manage their diabetes. And what we get in our workshop are people that are just recently diagnosed and they're scared. And we also get people in our class that they've had the disease for 20 years. And what happens in the class is the people that have had the disease for a long time, they take the people that are recently diagnosed and they take them under their wing. And the workshop is a discussion. We do brainstorming. People learn how to use their monitors, they're testing their blood glucose. They learn healthy eating habits. They learn how to deal with emotional issues with their family, because many times a family member just doesn't understand what diabetes is. And it's a huge emotional thing for people to deal with, and we get a lot of input from the other participants to help with that.
And I heard you say that loud and clear, and I never even thought about that aspect. There's a certain mentoring that goes on by some of the participants that are a little bit more seasoned in the management of their disease.
Yes.
And that to me is a benefit. It's socialization as well as learning good information to help them manage that disease. So you have another program. It's the acronym is CDSMP, but it's the Chronic Disease Self-Management Program. Give us a description on what that program is.
Many people come into that class and they don't really understand chronic as opposed to acute. Early on we talk about, well, if you break your arm, heaven forbid, it's acute. The doctor's going to fix it, he's going to cast it, and it's going to be healed up in 6, 7, 8 weeks. Or strep throat, prescribe some antibiotics and it'll be over. But chronic diseases are things that are with us the rest of our lives. Many people come in and say, oh, I don't have a chronic disease. But as we continue to visit, well, my arthritis is chronic, or my blood pressure, or various things. So it's a real educational process, right out of the start of those 6 weeks.
No, that's very neat. You have a chronic pain self-management program as well.
Yes,
Care
we
to
do.
talk about that?
Chronic pain is people suffering from a pain that's not going to go away, like arthritis, fibromyalgia, sometimes stroke, a wide array of issues from pain. And there again, we have the mentoring that goes on. We brainstorm things for people to do. We, a lot of times, a husband, I'll just paraphrase it this way, that a husband gets dragged to the class. He's got a lot of pain, and he was a very active person, and depression is a problem sometimes. And what happens is he sees people in this group that are all struggling with different kinds of pain, and they get ideas of how to deal with that pain and how to use distractions to help that pain go away.
Good. Thank you for
lessened.
Thank you for that description. We have a couple minutes left, and I know that we want to cover a couple of the healthy and active lifestyle courses that you have. You have one that we call HEAD, Healthy Eating Every Day. Clark, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, Healthy Eating Every Day is a long course. It takes 20 weeks. But again, it gives people a chance to adopt some healthy eating habits and take them through the course of 20 weeks. And we do talk about activity there because that's the old food pyramid, which we don't use anymore. The base of the plate method now, but the base of the food pyramid was exercise. So we get a chance to talk about, you got to burn those calories that you do eat. But I love Healthy Eating Every Day. It's a great class. It's a good chance to hear from folks on how they're eating differently and clean and natural, and it's a good course.
Yeah, and the last class that I know you all offer is the Active Living Every Day. Quick description on what that is?
Active Living Every Day is just what it says, Active Living Every Day, and it's really a program designed to getting seniors that haven't been active to get active again. And it's a little bit of discussion, it's a little bit of exercise, and we want people to enjoy, have fun. Sometimes there's singing involved, sometimes there's talking about recipes and throwing balls around and going on little field trips, little road trips to parks.
Sounds like the Active Living Everyday class and the Healthy Eating Everyday class can also be coupled with the Matter of Balance and or the chronic disease self-management programs in there. Sounds like they're a good fit, and one person might want to take one, they might want to take two now.
Many people, we've seen it now that we've been able to teach this we've been teaching this for 5 years, and we're starting to see returning folks, and we get good feedback that, hey, we stayed with that group that we met, and we're still walking or going to the park or doing active things together. Occasionally we hear things about folks who've made significant gains in the loss of weight. It's changed their relationship with their doctor, because many times they've been able to get off medications or reduce the amount of medication they have to take for some of their things. So we see some remarkable things that are really satisfying to us to see over the years that people are getting more healthy.
Great way to end the show, Clark. Cindy, I enjoyed having you on our show. Thanks for bringing a lot of your knowledge to the table today and talking about evidence-based programs. Clark, as usual, great to have you on the show, and we hope to see you some other time, okay?
Thanks for having us in.
No problem. We hope you enjoyed this month's broadcast. We also hope this episode sparked your interest to pursue these health and wellness evidence-based programs. At the end of the show, you'll see contact information again, so get your pencil ready. We'll see you next month, and until then, please make every attempt to maximize these free resources.
Many of us don't want to believe that elder abuse, neglect, or exploitation can happen to a family member, a friend, or even ourselves. Elder abuse is a growing problem and is severely underreported. Many victims are reluctant to report due to fear, embarrassment, shame, or guilt. In order to prevent elder abuse, we must take action. Don't be afraid to talk about the issue and report it to the Florida Abuse Hotline at 1-800-962-2873. Together, we can make a difference.